Hey guys, I'm Volan and welcome to this last episode in which we will be publishing or audio record this part of my From Zero to Publishing series. After this season, I will call these little projects seasons. After this one, I have a couple of other seasons planned. Let's see how this one turns out in terms of people who are interested in seeing it. If you want to see more seasons like this, please let me know in the comments below. But in today's episode, publishing, we will go over how to automate the entire building process, because right now building we have Windows, Linux, macOS. Having to build those manually on your PC, it's time consuming, it's not really worth the effort. So we will be automating everything to use GitHub workflows. I don't have Godot open right now, we don't really need to have the project open anymore. Inside of this folder, we need to create a new folder called .github. Inside of .github, we create a new folder called workflows. And inside of workflows, we create a new file, and we'll call this build audio recorder.yml because it's a YAML file. When this file is open, we need to add a couple of very boilerplate things. So we need a name. I called this process build GD audio recorder, and the run name is build GD audio recorder. Basically exactly the same. And then we have on workflow dispatch. What this workflow dispatch basically does is we get a button inside of our GitHub repo page under actions that allows us to run the workflow. So every single time we have a new update, we can just press a button and it will compile everything for us automatically. Now I will keep this very simple, so I won't do any arguments to build it. It's just a one-click button. But we also need some environment variables. So the Godot version that we are building this for is 4.3. The Godot project location is src project.godot. The export folder for Linux is bin Linux, for Windows bin Windows, and macOS bin macOS. Then we have the application name, and I'll just call this GD audio recorder. Next up, we define the jobs. What needs to happen to build the application? So the jobs, we have a build job, and this runs on Ubuntu latest. You can use specific containers, like I mainly use a container that runs Arch Linux because I develop on Arch Linux. It's easier to figure things out for me to do it like this. But for this little episodes, I'll just use Ubuntu latest and show how to do it like this. So the first step is installing dependencies. For this we use the vertical line, so we can add multiple commands. If you don't add this vertical line, you can only have a command here, and that's about it. So first of all, we update the system and then we upgrade everything. So this is just a basic command to keep everything up to date. Then we install git bash yasm python 3 pip sconce gcc diffutils make wget unzip tar mingw w64. This mingw w64, we need this to compile for Windows on Linux. And then because Windows likes to be annoying, we need to add these two rules to be able to make certain that we can compile for Windows. On Arch Linux, you don't need to do anything like this. This is an Ubuntu thing because they also like to do things simple. And then just to make certain that we are using the correct version, I have this quick little print. You don't need this, but it's better to have it there in case something goes wrong, as things tend to go kind of wrong. Because we use the Godot submodule as a submodule, we need to initialize that, because if you just do a git clone, you won't have this data. So we do an action checkout. These actions are GitHub defined. So GitHub has a lot of different actions that you can use. We will soon see another one at the end of this script. But yeah, submodules recursive. That's all you need to remember. That way Godot is also loaded inside of the repo. And you might remember we have this custom py. We did copy and paste it on a local system, but our virtual machine on which this whole code thing will run won't have this custom.py file inside of this folder. So we need a command to copy this, and on Linux that's just cp custom.py, and then we copy this to Godot custom.py. That's all we need to do for that. Next up, we copy some more files. So the .desktop file that we created in the last episode for Linux, we put it in the export folder for Linux. Same for the instructions, but we put them in every single folder. And then same for licenses, we also put them in every single folder. And next up, we need to prepare Godot. Now I do have this whole GitHub workflow thing for Godot related programs inside of my Ko-fi page. I also have it on Israel.io. This is just a copy of that. We need this part to be able to compile for Godot, because Godot is not a program that we should just install, especially because we can use different versions. If this is not the local, like the most recent version, if it's an older version, this won't compile properly anymore. So we do wget -q -o Godot linux.zip, and we get it from this link. And then we use the environment variable for the Godot version to get the correct download link, and we get the stable version. If I set my editor to wrap the text, then we can also see like stable linux.x8664.zip. Then we unzip that. Then we unzip the file that we got from here. Then we do another wget to get some more files, and the file that we need to get are the export templates. We are building the Linux one and the Windows one, but we don't have the Mac OS one, so it kind of forces us to download all the export templates because we cannot download them individually. But yeah, basically, then we create a new folder inside of .local share Godot export templates with the Godot version .stable. We unzip all the export templates into that folder. Then we move the export. Yeah, this is a lot. For this part, I will just recommend go to the repo link in the description and just copy paste this. Okay, and next up, we need to build the export templates themselves. So we change the directory to Godot. We run scons for Linux BSD, and then we run scons for the platform Windows. And then we go out of this folder again with the double dots. Change directory to the parent directory. Then we build the release for Linux. Then we make the directory for the export folder Linux, and I just noticed a mistake that I've been making. So this folder, this thing, we should also put it in here. So let's copy and paste this, and let's quickly fix this little mistake of mine. So Windows and Mac OS. Okay, so that should do it. So we basically take the Godot executable of the editor executable that we got in this part. We use import to import all the files, Godot project location, quiet, headless, export release Linux. These are all commands that you can find inside of here, command line tutorial. Inside of here, you can see a little bit what these are, well, basically all do. If you want to get more deeply into what exactly is happening here, you can do it inside of the Godot documentation. But basically for Linux, we need to add permissions to like run the project with change mods and chmod +x, and then we take the executable. And I don't know if it's because of a bug or like just GitHub workflows not wanting to do that, but if you were to just leave it like this, the permissions will go away somehow. You won't have the exports, like you won't be able to run the program if you just unzip the file that you get from GitHub. So we make the file into a tar file. So we just run this thing to create our own little tar folder instead of a zip folder. Next up, we built a release for Windows, which is a little bit shorter, but it's more or less the same, except for we put .x on here. Something I don't really like about this whole system. The paths for exporting the projects, we set it inside of export templates, but we need to set it again if we do it, like try to compile, export the project through this thing. So if we go into our export preset file, we can see we already set the export path, but for some reason, when you compile through the command line stuff, it does not just work. So we need to really find the path itself. I don't really understand why we need to do that, but yeah, that's one of the many things that should probably get an update at some point, but yeah. And next up, we have our building release for Mac OS. Exactly the same, but it's a .zip. And after that, we do the uploading for the release of Linux. And this uses another GitHub action called upload artifact. We set the name, we set the path of like what we want to be exporting. After that, we do the Windows release. Exactly the same thing, but for the path, we just choose the folder itself because GitHub will zip it automatically. And then for macOS, we also just do the folder. The whole reason why we select the tar file is we just need the tar file. Everything is already inside of there. And this is all we have to do to make things work. So if I save this, oh wait, one more thing. If we go back to our main folder, so we go in here, in git ignore, we need to do a couple of changes. So Godot stuff, we did .godot.import, and then we just add these export files. The biggest reason why we need to do that, if we go into our src folder and inside of translations, these translations.en.translation, jar.translation, and l.translation, for some reason, the import flag, if we do import starts the editor, waits for any resource to be imported, and then quits. Somehow this does not work for translation things, so we need to include them by default. The original git ignore for Godot has a thing, well, a line inside of it that does not include these inside of your version control systems, because they're basically kind of compile things, but we need to add these. So next up, go into your version control system. Let's add this, adding build workflow. So after adding this, we quickly push, and in the meantime, let's go to our repo. So inside of our repo, we can see it got pushed. Now adding build workflow. When we click on actions, we can see 0 workflows run. And this workflow has a workflow dispatch event trigger. So we press this and we run the workflow. Now this may take some time, and if things don't work, and let me show you all my previous tries. Yeah, it does not always run as smoothly. Normally this script should work without any issues, so let's let it run. But after that, when this is done compiling, we can push and, well, basically release everything on itch.io. So I'll see you in a minute, or 30 or 40. Yeah, it takes time. And it is a little while later, and as I thought, yeah, something went wrong again, this time with building the export templates. What I think it's probably the Windows build, because yeah, oftentimes when something is wrong, it's often Windows. So it started doing the Windows thing, and then it just crashed. Oh boy. And this is with the LTO wrapper. It's something I mentioned quickly in the last episode. So the LTO stuff does not work, so let's fix that. So inside of GitHub, we go in here, workflows. And for the Windows export template, we need to do something different. Well, not for the Windows template, for this one. So we do LTO on full, and for Windows, we just leave it off. Something I also realized when starting to do everything, I never copied the icon. So we go into our src folder, and we need to get the icon. So icon.svg, icon.svg. So we also copy the icon inside of the correct folder. What else do we need to do? So we set LTO here to full. So in our custom.py, we should remove LTO auto. I don't know why the Windows build is always kind of, not working properly, but from my experience, that's just Windows in general. Let's also go into our Godot folder, because we copy and pasted that file. So instead of here, custom.py, LTO, let's delete this line as well. And normally things should work now. And one thing that we should also add for this, for Windows, LTO none, because sometimes it will still try to use full. So yeah, that's it. So let's quickly update this, fix for workflow, fix workflow. And now there are ways to make this whole process go fast, because right now it took 34 minutes and now we need to do everything again. You can cache stuff, but I've run into a lot of issues with the whole caching stuff, and I have not figured out how to solve these issues. So for now, I'll just keep doing this all from scratch again. Luckily, the main benefit that you have with this kind of a thing, first of all, it's updates, so we can go to actions and run it again. One of the biggest benefits is you don't waste your own time. You can do all the things in the meantime, and you also don't waste your own electricity or your PC resources on this. So it's building again. Again, this will take a little, well, not a little bit of time. It will take probably around 50 minutes. So yeah, I'll see you again in 50 minutes, I guess. Okay, now that it finally built successfully, we can see we have some artifacts. So we have our Linux release, macOS release, and Windows release. The underscores something went wrong here. It ends with an underscore, but let's not worry too much about that. Let's download the items one by one. A reason why I do it manually and not directly, I could probably set up this whole GitHub workflow to post it on itch.io directly, but I would prefer to build them manually, and check if everything actually like built properly or not. When they are finally done downloading, we can see this one is 14 megabytes, this one is also 40, and then the macOS is 49 because we could not make the template, like the template release export thing can be helped. So next up, what I like to do in these things, first of all, this is a tar file, so I will export this here, and I'll just release this file. I'll quickly fix this one. So looking inside of here, I can see we have the bin, Linux, git keep, and we have basically everything. I don't like that this is in like the bin folder. I did not think that would happen. Something to fix later. This one seems to be okay, and this one also seems to be okay. So what I will do with this one is export here, bin, and create an archive. I should probably make this into a tar archive again, so we don't lose the whole permissions. That one is done. Let's copy this name. So yeah, these are things that we can change later. For this quick video, I won't bother like changing this into the whole thing anymore. You know how to set this up. These are all the files we need. We can check them all. We can also, I should probably have run it at least once. So running this should normally give our audio recorder. That works. And yeah, that's basically everything. Now we need to publish this. If you create open source software, you should create a new release on the GitHub page. Choose a tag, we can create a new tag, so we will just call this version 1.0. Create a new tag, generate release notes. Most of the time these are kind of empty anyway, but we don't really need to care too much about this. We call this release version 1.0, and then here we can add a title. So Godot audio recorder. I won't add too many things, and here you can add what the project is about and add some extra information of like who contributed. But since I have done all the work myself, I don't really have to do this. The only thing I need to do is add the binaries. So inside of here, we need to attach the binaries. So I'll just copy these and drop them in here. That should normally be enough. And as soon as that is done, we can publish the release. So when pressing this button, you will also notice it will come together with your source code of this current commit that you're on. So all the code from here will be inside of the release, inside of this file. Okay, next up, if you don't want to do open source and you just want to earn some money, go to itch.io or any other platform. On itch.io, I, by example, have my Anki deck for studying Japanese. I have the video playback add-on for Godot. I have my Godot data manager, Godot projects GitHub workflows, quick course GLPD grammar, again, Japanese stuff, and Teledot, which is my teleprompter, something that we will tackle in a future season probably. But we need to create a new project. Inside of here, audio recorder for the title. We will just name this audio recorder made with Godot. The project URL, just to make it a little bit cleaner, GD audio recorder. And this will be enough. A short description, audio recorder. Classification, it's a piece of software, so we need a software tool kind of project. It's a downloadable. It's released. You can add money, suggested donation amount. Let's put it on, a couple mil. No, I think I'll just leave this on $1. I don't think anybody will like pay for this anyway. So yeah, select them from here, open. After they're uploaded, we can select, so Linux is for Linux, Windows is for Windows, and macOS is for macOS. Every single time when you have an update, you just upload the files. You don't need to do anything with them. As long as the file name is the same, it will just replace these files and say that there is a new version. So something we could do is also add the source code from here. So, I think there's not really much of a difference between these two. So let's just take this one and let's add the source code as well. So in recent, normally this will pop up, and it did. So now we have our source code, change display name, source code. And the fun thing about itch.io is you can set different prices for different files. So for the source code, I could example say like this is not free, you have to pay, or for the executables, you have to pay, but source code is free. Anyway, description. This is a simple audio recorder made with Godot. In here, audio recorder and Godot. Then AI generation. Nope, we did not use AI, only our brain. And app store links, we don't have any. Custom noun, we don't really need anything. And download and install instructions are included in the zip files. Better to leave comments enabled in case people have questions. And then for visibility, we can directly put this on public. Save and view the page. So this is our page. So consider posting a devlog to notify followers of the updates. We basically added these things so we can add a new devlog, version 1. And it's a general update or a major update launch. And then I can add some text in here, so I'll quickly fill this in. And what I did was basically copy paste the entire thing from the README. Because I don't have much inspiration. So for here, audio recorder, and I'll just add Godot here as well. What language is this post written in? Let's just type English. Original publishing date. I don't really need to do anything with this. A cover image, we could add an image. I won't go into the trouble of doing that. And we set the visibility to published. Let's save this. And we have published our resource, our application that we made. Now you could, if you go to the main page, you could edit the theme a little bit, change certain things like the background, make the background a little darker, because some people complain, well, like to complain about things not being in dark mode. And yeah, this is probably good enough. I don't want to put it too dark. Yeah, you can do a little bit of everything. You can add screenshots, you can do a little bit of everything. I won't go into the trouble of doing that. Maybe I'll do it in the future, but this should be good enough. This, for me, is more than enough. We published our tool. If you are to actually release something to get money with, you should probably take a little bit more time to work on this page. Something I will do though, on edit tool, upload a cover image. And for this, I will just go into my audio recorder, source, and there should be my icon.svg, select. Okay, there's an issue. It does not recognize. We need a PNG or a JPEG. So let's go in here. I'll open this with GIMP. How big should this be? So recommended is 630, 630. Okay, so 630, 630. Now we export this to a PNG. And we put this in the main folder. Or let's do PNG. Because we have in see-through corners with a JPEG, you won't have that with a PNG. This will stay transparent. Let's close this one. Let's go in here, upload cover image, recent, icon, select, and this should be enough. Now, if we go into the page itself, we'll see our logo. And if we go back into our dashboard, it will also have a logo over here. And yeah, that's it. And also, quick mention, we also have French translations now because of Slender. I added him to the translation part. If you were to contribute to this project by doing adding a language, add it inside of here and just add your name in here together with a link to your GitHub page or something. Another quick mention to my Ko-fi page. My Ko-fi page is basically the main way to support me financially so I can keep making these videos. And you'll have your name added to this list of amazing people. So thanks a lot to all my Ko-fi supporters. Thank you for following this series. And this was the end of the first season of From Zero to Publishing. The next seasons will hopefully be a little better. I'm still learning how to do this properly. I know that I've been going a little bit too fast at times. I will try to slow down a little bit more in other videos whilst hoping to make it not too long. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.